Think about it. Every hiring decision is a choice that can make or break a team, a culture, and even an entire company. So how do we make the right choice? Hi, I'm Dr. Mickey, and welcome to Inside the Mind of Hiring. Here we'll uncover the psychology and strategy behind effective hiring. Because the right fit isn't just about skill or experience. It's about understanding people, their motivations, their strengths, and the shadows of their shortcomings. Together, we'll tackle the tough questions. How do we look beyond bias? How do we find the qualities that make people not just qualified hires, but the right hires? This is about identifying leaders who drive success, lift morale, and actualize a company's vision. Inside the Mind of Hiring starts now. Well, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Mickey Fineberg, or Dr. Mickey, and this is I'm with Dr. Pat today, who's my host, our host, and I'm going to kick this show off. I'm going to kick it real long, actually. So our show is called Inside the Mind of Hiring, or maybe even broader, even more broadly, Inside the Mind of Business. And I think our topic today has to do with maybe a little bit more of the broader topic. So we're going to today our episode title today is Think Like an Owner, Act Like an Owner, and Be Freaking Indispensable. Unemployment numbers are going up. Job openings are scarcer. Businesses are being more selective. So when you're on the job or job hunting, it's extra important to think like an owner and act like one, but not to be too presumptuous about that, but think like an owner and act like one. Be indispensable. Because if you do, you'll stand out and you'll weather the layoff storms and the AI onslaught. And, you may even come to mind for promotions and maybe get enough accolades and feel enough of yourself and enough confidence to start your own business. How do you like that? So how does one think and act like an owner? It might be obvious to some of you. And I want to keep this simple. I want to talk about jobs that we all know and see, jobs that I see just like you. And I want to talk about my experience with people that are doing this job and whether or not they're acting and thinking like owners. So I want to talk about something that I didn't even plan to talk about. I remember years ago going to a new restaurant that opened up and not too far from me, and had been open for about a week. So I broke one of my rules. When something is just opening, maybe you don't go because it's too crowded. So we went anyway, broke one of my rules. It was a Thursday night. We figured maybe it wouldn't be too bad, but it was mobbed, really crowded. There was a big group waiting and all that kind of stuff. And if you know me, you know that I don't like to wait in lines and I don't like to wait for anything. So we decided that my wife and I walked out. We on our way to the parking lot. We were already talking about other places that we want to go to. And all of a sudden I hear somebody behind me. Hey, stop. Listen, I'll make this work for you. I'll make this work for you. Well, it turned out to be the business owner following me to the parking lot. And he said, I said, hey, look, I really appreciate you doing this. I've never been stalked like this by a business owner. I said, we'll come back. Don't worry. I said, we'll come back. He said, I don't want to lose a customer tonight. I want to make this work for you. Come on back with me. So we went back, and maybe in about 15 minutes, we had a table and we had a great time. This was the owner of the business. When you think about it, if that restaurant was being run and overseen by a regular good manager, how often do you think I'd have a manager even come running after me in the parking lot, following me and my wife and getting us to come back. I mean, it was pretty, I couldn't resist. So I went back and we actually had a good experience. And but that guy was certainly not only the owner, he was thinking and acting like one. Really interesting to me. So let's go not necessarily to the ownership level. I remember writing an ad. There used to be a really wonderful thing that newspapers offered. Not only did they put out ads for jobs that companies would pay for to hire people, they had a section called Situations Wanted. So you could write about yourself and maybe a job that you're looking for in the overall ad section of the. It was a big metropolitan newspaper called the Philadelphia Inquirer. So my mother-in-law was in her early to mid 60s, and I wrote an ad for her. I wanted to help her get a job, and she just wanted a basic service job, and so I decided to write an ad for her. And one of the lines that I used was, you know, I'm going to go out of my way to delight your customers. I'm going to go out of my way to delight your customers, not satisfy them, to delight them. And I said, Mom, you got to do this. You got to be willing to do this because, this is, I'm advertising for you here. And she said, I will. She said, Mickey, I'm going to do that. And she was a little bit reserved, very nice, but a little bit reserved. But when she said something, that's how I read her. It seemed to always mean something. She's one of these people that not blab for the sake of blabbing. When she said something, it meant something. So I had a lot of faith in her. Within a week, she had an interview with a very well-known car dealership in the area and very successful car dealership. And they made her an offer for a telephone service job, which she really liked. She liked the whole idea. Late afternoon, early evening job they had about three or four dealerships in the area. And it was a main dealership, and she was located there. She wasn't working remotely. They didn't have that at the time. So she had to go there, and her boss was the owner's wife. So she was watched by somebody that really cared about whether she was going to follow the law of delighting customers. And she did, and she was there maybe about 4 years and did a great job. And she left on her own accord. She wasn't asked to leave. She left when she was ready to retire full time. And I was very proud of her. And she did the job. She delighted customers and did very well. And so I have another story. It was like I put the label on. It was almost like the Wizard of Oz. When you put the label on somebody, like they have courage, they got to live it, and she lived it. So I was proud of her. So another experience I have is very interesting. I bought I live near Philadelphia, and I bought a $200 gift card through my daughter. My daughter actually handled the transaction at an upscale retailer, a $200 gift card at a retailer that my sister, who lives in Palm Beach, really enjoyed shopping. And she really enjoyed going there and buying things. So I bought a $200 gift card for her. And stupidly, I sent the physical card via UPS. And I'm saying stupidly because the card never got to her, never got to my sister. And I was very frustrated. It was about a couple of weeks. I was following up and doing all this kind of stuff. So at the UPS store, they told me I could make a claim for the card. I'm not for the card, for the shipping, which I did. And they said, I don't think you're not going to get your $200 back for the gift card, but you. So I made the claim for shipping, and I got my $40 back for that. Then I called customer service. There was a corporate. I mean, this retailer has a good number of stores all over the area, and they have a store in Florida. They have a store here in King of Prussia, as I was implying before. And the corporate service center, the people there said they could not cancel the card and send a new one. They couldn't do that. So my daughter, not to be, my daughter's pretty persistent. Did the transaction. So she went to the store and didn't encounter the store manager, but she did talk to the regional manager who happened to be there that day. Now, the regional manager has several stores reporting to her, okay, include not just the one in King of Prussia, other stores. So you would think that person would be in a position of clout and would be able to help us. Well, she said that she couldn't. She couldn't cancel the card and issue a new card to my sister. Okay, so I was about ready to give up. So my sister, who's a regular customer at this store, decided to call the store in King of Prussia and see what she could do. Well, she got a hold of the store manager there. So the store manager said, "Have your brother give me a call. Let me see what I can do." So I called her. She was nice. She was receptive, took the information down. She said, "Let me see what I can get done here." 3 hours later, that day, she said she canceled the card and issued a new card to my sister. And it was done successfully. We're all happy. She was a hero. She took
Mm.
ownership of my problem. So what did I do? I'm a little bit of a squawker. So I'm on LinkedIn, and I found out that the CEO of this company is on LinkedIn as well. Okay. So I wrote him a letter and I told him about my wonderful ordeal and experience with the store manager who was our hero because she took ownership of our problem and solved the problem. And, but I also didn't exclude the people that didn't lift a finger to help me. And I called the service group there and I called the regional manager. The regional manager, I called them turkeys because they didn't lift a finger to help us. Well, the CEO did get back to me and thank me for the feedback. And the store manager seemed very delighted with the fact she went out of her way to call me to acknowledge and appreciate that I wrote to the CEO. Okay. So another example of somebody taking ownership of a problem that other people wouldn't do. Other people wouldn't do. I mean, I see that you see this all the time, Pat, Dr.
Yeah.
Pat.
Yeah.
Our listeners see this all, and our viewers see this all the time, and I see this all the time. And I really admire the people that can step up and will step up. So I'll tell you a simple example. I have a regular supermarket I go to, just like all of you, and now you have to bring your own bags. So there's an
Yes.
implication of when you bring your own bags, there's an implication of that you're not only bring your bags, but you're going to load them up too at the checkout counter. The cashier, and I think there's a lot of cashiers that have that sort of assumption that you're taking your bags out. We're not providing the bag and loading them up for you or helping you bag your groceries. You're doing it. But still, there's a lot of, there's relatively few, but they do exist in the market that I go to that willingly and spontaneously and take the initiative to help you bag your groceries, even though you're taking your bags and opening it up. They'll take the bag, put it in where they can, a spot where they can put it and help you load your groceries. And then after that, they give you a little survey, okay, a little survey that you can respond to your experience. So when they help me, so they're taking ownership of their job. When they help us without being asked, bag our groceries, in my view, they're taking ownership of their role in that store. And they got that area that they're working in. They own that area and they want you to have a good experience. And that's what they're trying to do. So I respond to those surveys and I go out of my way to give them, there's a Jewish word for acknowledgement or recognition. It's called kuvit. And I give
Yeah.
them plenty of kuvit, those people that help me that way and take initiative that way. The people that don't, I don't say anything. My wife doesn't say anything. And we go home and we don't respond to the survey. We just don't. Recently, my wife asked a cashier to help, and the cashier, he did help. But it's really great when they take initiative. It's the same thing when you go to a supermarket and I spoke to, I ask an employee, where's a certain product that I forget or maybe can't find. If they just give me the aisle, that's like what everybody does. But the people that escort you, sometimes it's the policy of the store, but sometimes it's not. And the people that escort you stand out to me as people that are taking ownership of their jobs and really trying to create a good experience for you. And I really go out of my way in those situations to acknowledge those employees. And there was an employee I remember in the bakery. I like chocolate covered pretzels, dark chocolate in particular,
Yay!
dark chocolate. So they didn't have any that they put out, and they were mixing them with other kinds of chocolate that I didn't want. So I went to the employee. She was the only one there behind the bakery counter. She was the only one there, and she said, I asked her to go, please see if she could find me some dark chocolate pretzels. She said, "Sir, I'm the only one here today. I really can't do that." Um, Very disappointed. Uh, Other employees that I saw alone back there would do it, but this one didn't. She didn't do it, and I remember that. She stood out to me as being infamous, not famous. Okay. So I don't like to badmouth people, but if they solicited me in a survey, I would talk about my experience with that particular employee. The employees that stood out to me in a positive way, the ones that didn't. So I don't think it takes a lot of time and effort to stand out and take ownership of your job. I really don't. And if you don't, it really stands out. And believe me, CEOs and business owners talk about this stuff all the time. They know what's going on in their stores, even though may not be there or whatever business they own. They're going to talk about the employees that stand out to their customers and make a difference for their customers. And they're going to talk about employees who are cited as not, and it's sort of behaving in the opposite ways of taking ownership of their jobs. It's really, they know, customers know, and the owners and CEOs know, believe me. So I have one more story. Um, I hope I didn't miss any before, but I have one more story about what I call the diamond in the rough sales assistant. Now, this company, you may have heard me talk about them before. They're a manufacturer of upscale office furniture. So their customers are businesses because they buy this beautiful, highly designed furniture, just fabulous. And they have regional offices around the country, around the U.S., and in some key cities globally, like in Paris, London. That's where they belong. So they're in those kinds of cities as well. And so I'm going to talk about someone that started out as a sales assistant in Atlanta, which was a key region for them, Atlanta, Georgia. And she was a sales assistant. She was so good at being a sales assistant that existing customers and new customers started to come to her because they heard about her reputation, how great she was at helping customers. Okay, she wasn't a seller; she was a sales assistant. But all the customers started to come to her to buy from her. So the company couldn't help it. They promoted her to a seller, to a they call sales representative. Okay, and she was outstanding in that job, outstanding as a seller, direct seller. Then they promoted her. She was so good at that, she just killed it as a seller. She became the regional manager in Atlanta. How do you like that? And that's when this business psychologist met her because they wanted me to test her or assess her, evaluate her for division management potential. So not only would she manage the store and the region, the showrooms were beautiful. These showrooms were outstanding. They were almost like art galleries. They were, but big, much bigger than a typical because they had furniture. And these showrooms, I just love visiting the showrooms because the furniture was like art to me. And But they wanted me to assess her for division manager. Hands down, I thought, I didn't even know why they asked me. Well, you're managing multiple regions. There's a big step up there. It's a very big step up. So they wanted me to talk about her potential for that role. And I recommended her hands down for a division management role. And then they promoted her to that. Now, remember, she started as a sales assistant and took such ownership of her job that she became a seller successfully, and then a regional manager in Atlanta, now a division manager. So she had Atlanta, the Carolinas, Florida. She had Dallas and Houston in Texas. So this gal was really doing it and really performing well as a leader. And lo and behold, guess what? After 3 to 5 years, I think it was maybe just somewhere between 3 to 5 years, they promoted her to the company to be the company president, from sales assistant to the company's president. And she was outstanding in that job before she actually retired. She did that job very well for about 5 years. But it was always very amazing to me that she thought like an owner, she acted like an owner, she was clearly indispensable, and she skyrocketed like a rocket ship in that business and became the president of that company. She was reporting to the owner. At the time, the business was privately owned. Now it's owned by a real big furniture business called Herman Miller. You may have heard of that.
Yeah.
So they were a pretty big chunk for Herman Miller to absorb, but they absorbed this company into Herman Miller. So I always thought that was just a great, great story. So what do you think about all that, Dr. Penn?
I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that those are the stories that great businesses are built by. But here's the dilemma. I'm going to call you out, Hilton, for a minute.
Okay.
Because I'm a Hilton Rewards member. You have paid for, you have been amazing. But here's our next show. What do you do when AI destroys customer service? So those people that you referenced, they had control to a point. They didn't have a system. They could say, Dr. Mickey, I'm going to get you that chopped meat. Wait a minute. Let me show you the chopped meat. Oh, wait. Let me show you the really good chopped meat, right?
Right.
We're entering a new world now. And in 2 days, I've had the worst customer service experience of a lifetime when I could not even reach. I had a hotel room at the Hilton down at the airport, made the reservation. We were late.
Right.
And I told them we'd be late. I'm in the car with the Uber, and I am dialing every number on the planet. And finally I said, are you a real person? And they said, let me connect you. I was in a loop for 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
No, for real. Now, this is it. My drugstore. I left from Mill Creek, CVS. They had a rough start. They put in all sorts of systems with what looked like 10 people, everything automated. Horrible customer service. Their rating went, when they were Rite Aid, from like a 4.5. They're now like at a 2.1, and they don't get it.
Right.
See, what you and I are, and then on the flip side of that, I flew Alaska Airlines, and I will tell you, you don't need to live in Alaska to fly Alaska Airlines. We were a 2-hour delay. They were so great. They were courteous. And when we got on the plane, because we needed some assistance, they were the best because they were in person. They could make decisions.
Right.
So, Dr. Mickey, what happens in the world when we take decision-making away from real people? Because what you shared are the qualities of us as humanity.
Right.
The difference between go to aisle 5 versus let me go to aisle 5 with you because I want to make sure that what's there is what you really want.
Exactly.
That's what you shared. I'm so glad you did this today because businesses need to understand that if they don't have their staff act like owners, they will be out of business.
I really believe that. I had a really, well, what I feel was a relatively good, adept AI person on the phone, robo person. She happened to be a female AI robo.
Well, let's save this for our next show.
Yeah.
Let's
She
save this
wasn't,
conversation.
turns out she couldn't cut it. She just couldn't cut it.
Let's
And by
save
the
this for
way,
our next show because
okay, I will.
We got to run.
AI, by the way, AI is number 6, not number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. It's number 6 in the factors that are creating this job tightness right now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
number 6.
Yeah. So
So
let me give you a number one solution, AI folks. You better loosen up and get a few human beings in there. Because if I can't call my Hilton hotel by dialing the number you gave me to dial to the direct hotel, something's not right. Paris, get in there and fix Hilton. Thank
Yeah,
you, Dr. Mickey. We
you
got to
got it.
run. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Happy holidays. And thank you for
Take
those
care.
beautiful stories to remind us that business is about humanity. Thank you, Dr. Mickey.
It sure as hell is. Thank you,
Yeah.
Pat. Take care.
Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back.
You have been listening to Inside the Mind of Hiring with me, Dr. Mickey Fineberg. Tune in the first and third Tuesday at 11 on Transformation Talk Radio to discover the psychology of making successful hiring decisions. In each episode, hiring managers and HR pros will learn how to leverage assessments and other key screening sources and avoid common pitfalls. Job seekers will gain insight into successfully presenting themselves. For more information on assessing people for mission-critical jobs and on career assessment and coaching, visit deltaconsultants.com and my LinkedIn profile. If you'd like to write me personally, it's Mickey, Mickey, @deltaconsultants.com.